YouTube. My name is Transient Lion, and today I'm going to be doing just like a regular vlog about, just like talking about a character that I wanted to talk about from Bleach for a while. I've been thinking about doing Bleach videos for quite a long time, and I've been very interested in just like talking about the characters just as a way to start out, since I don't really have very good recording equipment at this moment. And so, I thought a character that I'd be interested in talking about first would be the final the final antagonist of the entire series, Yhwach, because he's a very interesting character to think about, and I have a lot to say about him. So, before I get into this, yes, there are going to be major spoilers for the Thousand Year Blood War, so if you are an anime-only fan, I do not recommend watching further. But for now, but now that that's out of the way, let's just get into it. So, this guy's name is fucking stupid. Like, I get what they were going for with him. Kubo really did want to, like, make sure that even his name had, like, godlike symbolism to it. And so he did the YHVH thing to, like, symbolize Yahweh. But, yeah. The execution is really, really botched with him. And, like, it's absolutely something that I just can't get over. 'Cause, like, you can't figure out how his name is pronounced by just looking at how it's spelled in English. Like, you actually have to look at the hiragana and know how Japanese words and know how Japanese pronunciation for German words works in order to actually understand it. And, like, that's just kind of stupid. Like, they made his name just way too complicated, and it's one of the things that I dislike the most about actually thinking about this character. Because every time I have to bring him up, I have to say Yhwach because I'm a stickler for pronunciation. I like pronouncing things right, it's just how I go. But yeah. I think an inevitable thing is that he's probably just always going to be compared to Aizen. And Aizen is, my favorite character in Bleach. But I'm gonna try not comparing him as much, I'm gonna try not comparing him to Aizen for most of my opinion towards him. But to quickly get that out of the way, yeah, Yhwach doesn't really do much to, like, win me over when comparing him to Aizen. Because, like, Aizen has this constant presence throughout the series, and is built up really, really well over the course of an entire arc, and Yhwach just doesn't get that. Like, it's very clear that Yhwach was not planned to be in the series from the very beginning. Aizen was very obviously supposed to be the main villain, the, like, final antagonist for quite a while, until Kubo decided to continue after his defeat. But, I do respect what Kubo was doing with Yhwach when he introduced him. I respect how he wanted to have the, like, huge contrast between Aizen, who sits back and lets his subordinates do all the fighting for him, and Yhwach, who just shows up right there and goes into the forefront of the action, fighting with his subordinates on the front lines, and, like, he's smarter than I tend to give him credit for, because he set up that whole plan where he has Royd fight Yamamoto, and then, like, get him to a point where the real Yhwach can come in and just kill him. And while Yamamoto is weakened. But, like, after that bit of impressiveness, I don't really think that there's just that much that, like, keeps him interesting. Because, like, they introduced the whole thing where he's the son of the Soul King. He can distribute his soul around and, like, absorb people's powers when they die, and they don't take advantage of that, like, at all. Um, yeah, they don't do that. Um, and then just like every fight that he actually is in, he doesn't really struggle at all. Like Aizen didn't struggle either. I don't want to paint like favoritism towards Aizen just because he didn't. Um, just because like Yhwach doesn't struggle and Aizen also doesn't struggle. Like I get they wanted to make the bad guy feel really powerful, but there's something about how the Almighty works that just doesn't work for me nearly as well as Kyoka Suigetsu does. Because Kyoka Suigetsu, like, there's this feeling that you have to, like, that Aizen has to, like, plan out absolutely everything that his opponents see and feel during the illusion. And if he gets a single thing wrong, then then he can like mess up, and the opponent that he's fighting could potentially find something weird going on. Like that never actually happens, but like given how Kyoka Suigetsu is explained to work, yeah, there is something like that going on. With how the Almighty is explained, it's just there's no real room for error. It's just picking the right selection from a menu. And unlike Kyoka Suigetsu, it's just like an instant win button. Nothing works against Yhwach when he picks the right future to go with. Like even if it's something that's working on him in the present, like with Ichibei's Bankai. I don't actually remember the full name of his Bankai. It was something. It was some sort of extension of the Ichimonji name, but yeah, like the Almighty is just I don't like it. Um, but yeah, that's another thing. Like, Yhwach doesn't really fight any like too many characters aside from Ichigo in this arc, and like he just has to be portrayed as like I don't want to come off as complaining that the character is overpowered, because there is a lot of good credence that you can give to overpowered antagonists in shonen series. And, yeah, he is suitably overpowered given where he is in the story. But, like, the idea that he's just able to do all of this... Yeah, I think that's it. The idea that, like, there's no feeling of, oh, okay, maybe they can beat this guy by doing this. Yeah, no. At least with Aizen, there was this sense that he could, that like they could deal with Kyoka Suigetsu, and then Aizen would be a lot easier to defeat. I know I'm actually going off comparing him to Aizen a lot, even though I said I wasn't going to, but like it's kind of hard to avoid doing that. But yeah, purely based off what Yhwach does, he just kind of shows up, wrecks a bunch of really strong people, and then just doesn't have a satisfying conclusion to him. Oh yeah, and also there's this idea that, like, they want him to be this, like, godlike figure, and yet he doesn't feel like it to me. Like, all he really does is just absorb a bunch of people, and he doesn't really, like... He just wins, and then he wins more. And, like, Aizen was doing that too. But, you know, every time he got into a fight, there was this sense... Every time he got into a fight after a certain point, there was this sense that people were still affecting Aizen, and that he was just growing too broken for those people to deal with. Meanwhile, Yhwach was just kind of that broken from the beginning. And it's just, I don't know. They also don't take full advantage of, like, everything that he can do. Like, he absorbs Yamamoto's Bankai right before he kills Yamamoto, and then he never uses it again. And, like, they show off that he has, like, really good Blute Artery, but, like, or Blute Vein, but they don't really show him, like, using Blute Artery all that well. I don't know, maybe it's just because Kubo didn't want to feel like the Quincy's were, too reliant on Blute, but, like, I don't know, you introduce the thing in an arc, and, like, you only have, like, one major showing of the bad guy using it, and, like, we see a lot of the Stern Ritter get, like, really cool Volstendigs, and, like, Yhwach doesn't get one. I mean, I don't want to lie. Yhwach absorbing the Soul King, that transformation looks really, really cool. Like, the whole, like, giant mass of black Ryatsu and all of the eyes everywhere, that's genuinely creepy, and, like, after he absorbs Ichigo's powers, that is the only time I felt like he was very intimidating. But, speaking of his intimidation factor, yeah, that is also a huge thing that gets me not really liking the character all that well. Because when Ichigo goes to confront him in the Soul King Palace, he's just like, "Ha! I got you, you Quincy blood. You got Quincy blood. I'm going to use you to kill the Soul King." And then Ichigo's all, "Nani?" And then he just makes Ichigo cut the Soul King in half. And, like, I don't know, that didn't really feel earned. I think that's another thing, too, like, going off topic for just a second. This is the arc that Ichigo was revealed to be a Quincy in, and they just gave the main character the, hard counter ability. The ability to just, like, hard counter any Quincy's that he's fighting. So, like, it just kind of makes the, reveal of Ichigo being part Quincy feel a little bit, like, a little bit less, impactful and meaningful, because any Quincy powers Ichigo gets over the course of the arc just kind of don't matter, because Yhwach can just deal with that. But yeah, there's another dumb thing about that. After Yhwach makes Ichigo kill the Soul King, and the world start to crumble, he's like, "Hey, kid, I'm your daddy." And it's just like, no, you're literally not. We know who Ichigo's dad is. And then when Ichigo's like, "Do you know how biology works? That's not, you're not my father. I know who my father is. I talked to him today." And then Yhwach just gets mad and he's just like, "Don't talk back to your daddy that way." It's dumb. But yeah, I feel like if Kubo had managed to get all of the chapters that he wanted for the Blood War out, that Yhwach would have had more time to actually, like, do more cool things and steadily become more and more intimidating. But that didn't happen, and we got this super unsatisfying final battle. And, like, no one can really blame Kubo for, like, picking his health over the longevity of Bleach. But it does kind of leave a sour taste in the mouth of not just me, a lot of the fans. But, like, it really sucks that we didn't get the final villain to be, like, nearly as cool as he could have been. I think that's all I have to say on him. I could have probably expanded on a few more topics, but, like, they're just gone by now. So, yeah. I'm going to be doing more of these. And not just for Bleach, but Bleach is going to be my main focus. So yeah, stay tuned, and I will definitely upload more of these. Later.